Where do you start? So with so many options, where do you start? Well, you can start with... Hi, this is Jeff from Gunpla SA. This is our first tutorial video in a series for beginners. In this video, I'll show you tips and tricks on how you build your very first Gunpla. And season builders, leave a comment if you agree with our methods or if you have a different way of doing things, because that way we'll all learn and grow together. So before we get into the video, you've heard of the terms Gunpla, Gundam? But what are they? Firstly, what is Gundam? It is one of Japan's mecha anime franchise that started all the way back in 1979 and still ongoing. Yeah, it's quite a cultural phenomenon in Japan. So imagine the Star Wars franchise from Japan. Every year they release animated series, comics, games. There's even a Hollywood production of a live-action Gundam movie in the works. They also build scale 1:1, life-size 20-meter tall statues of Gundam. And not only that, there's lots of merchandise around it, such as Gunpla. So what is Gunpla? The term is a portmanteau of a combination of words added together. So the gun is from Gundam and the pla is from plastic model kits. So what makes Gunpla so awesome? Well, you're not only just building a robot, but essentially you're building an action figure because every joint is posable. You don't need any glue and no painting required. How flippin' cool is that, bro? So you're interested and you start googling Gunpla and you get a huge range of Gunpla, all these different types and colors and designs. And it's like, do you feel overwhelmed and you don't know where to start? Don't worry, we got you. Well, with so many options, where do you start? Well, I recommend getting a Gunpla with the HG, which stands for high grade, or entry grade level. That's fairly easy. This one's a RX-78-2 Gundam, and then you just find a Gunpla that looks cool to you. And what tools do you need? Well, you don't need to go overboard and use any of these. All you need is just a pair of nipper. We're just covering the basics of how you build your first Gunpla, so not fussing with the extra tools and steps. Check out our blog, An Introduction to the Basics of Building Gunpla with some quick tips by Paul. It's got good foundation. We both share similar habits, but with some minor differences. See what works for you and make it your own. So what's inside the box? Let's check its contents. So you'll get bags of runners, and in one of those bags you'll find foil stickers and or sticker decals with clear backing. And you'll find at the bottom is your manual. Now I know you're super excited to just rip open each bag and get into the runners. So I've seen a lot of YouTubers that just like to rip open the bag for ASMR. Me personally prefer cutting it off neatly because these plastic bags are premium and you can reuse them. I'll show you later. And what you want to do, just double check all the runners and skim over the pieces against the manual. Look, with all my 30 years of building Gunpla, I've never seen anything go wrong, but it's just a good habit to have. Sometimes check where there's crosses in the manual. That means those pieces won't be used. So don't freak out when you're at the end of your build and you say, hey, there's still pieces on these certain runners. That just means these runners are generally from another kit and doesn't really need to be applied for this kit. And what I like to do is alphabetically sort out the runners, except for the PC joints. I'll tell you more about that just now. Okay, then you use one half of the box and you stack it in. So why do I put the polycab runner and the stickers in this box? Because using this box will be cutting the pieces into it. Just makes your life much easier and much cleaner. Whoa, easy tiger, chillax. Don't go straight in with one single cut try and get it flushed against the piece. Okay, the manual recommends a 2-cut method. Basically, you cut off the whole piece first with a little bit of nub at the gate. And then once you have the piece in your hand, it is much easier to maneuver around to get a clean second cut without all the runners in the way. So I would not recommend cutting too far away from the piece, leaving a long piece of runner just dangling off the piece. I've seen quite a few new builders, especially on YouTube, that just cuts far away. And what I feel about this is that it risks bending that excess runner into a gouge into your piece and to damage the part. And then you just have a dent on your part and it just doesn't look good. And if you want to paint it or make it look professional, then you have to fill it. So yeah, I'll just recommend cutting it close to the piece with a little bit of nub for easier cleanup. Instead of having a long piece sticking out, then you're just risking yourself for trouble. So the second cut, we're going to clean off the nub from the part. So take your nipper and have the blades up against the piece, flushed and flat. And before you make the cut, so what I like to do is, here's another tip of mine. I put my fingertip over the blades. So when I make the cut, drop down into the box. And one more thing about cutting is be careful of what is a nub and what is actually the part of a piece. So for example, here we've got the rifle, and that part there, that is actually the part of a piece. We don't want to cut it off. If we cut it off, then the front of a rifle won't be able to attach to the body of a rifle. So be careful about that. Pay attention before you cut the nubs. So this part on the manual, it's telling us to be careful with polycaps. You want to fit it nicely, nice and square and flat where it's supposed to be before you clamp on other parts on top of it. Because keep in mind, polycaps are soft materials, and if it's not fitting right and you clamp on another piece, it might squeeze it and damage it. And the next thing before we go into the build, just watch out for these symbols. Familiarize yourself before you go into the build. So for example, here we're talking about the numbers means the order that you need to assemble certain pieces. Okay, when it says ×2 symbol, that means you're just going to build twice. So for example, with the legs or arms, a lot of them are identical. So they'll just tell you this thing, you build 2 of them, then you'll use, you've got the left and right sorted. This symbol here, it shows you that you've got options. So some model kits will give you optional parts, so you don't have to build it in one single way. So here we've got 2 different options of chests for the 2 different designs. There's a middle type and early type. So it's up to the builder which one you want to build. And obviously at the end of the day, once you have finished your model kit, you can still swap out depending on what you feel like having for the day. You just want to change things up, go ahead and do that. Okay, this symbol here just shows you that the part that it's associated to it, you need to build the part first. And that symbol is just the complete opposite. You build that part last. Okay, that symbol, if you come across it, means do not cut certain part, watch out for it. And lastly, that sticker symbol just shows you, okay, you need to look for the sticker. Like for example, sticker 1 will go on to this part here. Now, if you happen to have a manual that does not have English, then I'll have a link in the description to an article that has translations to these symbols. With Bandai's older model kits, they won't have dual language, but model kits from 2017 onwards will have both Japanese and English. And yeah, that's all you pretty much need to know. Just follow the order. If you've built a Lego before, then this should be easy peasy. Just take your time and you'll be fine. Right, so here's an example of some stickers application. I mentioned before that you only need one tool, which is the nipper, but okay, here you would actually want to use something sharp. For example, like a toothpick, a tweezer, or a needle. Whatever you have that's a sharp pointed. It'll be much easier to handle with the stickers than comparing to using your fingers. wait a minute. I'm missing a part. Wait, I forgot to put in the part before I closed it up. No. What do I do? Ish. This is the part that was supposed to go in before I closed. What do I do now? And it feels too tight. It doesn't want to open. Okay, so don't worry, that was actually all staged. So if you ever encounter this where you missed a part before you closed in, other pieces, what you can do, just use a craft knife and then kind of shove in the blade very carefully, of course, and you just wiggle a little bit. Okay, and then come from a different direction, shove the blade in, wiggle it some more, and then until you feel the piece is loose enough, then you can just take it apart. Simple as that. Okay, so that's the waist unit done. And here's another tip. So let's say you're a builder that builds a bit slow or likes to take your time with your build, and you take a long sessions of break, or you come back the next day, and if you feel a bit lost where you were in the manual, what you can do is just use a pencil or a pen, whatever you want, and just make a tick to where you have completed, so that the next time you come back, you know exactly where to continue from. So remember guys, building Gunpla, as with any model kits, is just a hobby and it's for fun. So it's not a race, take your time and enjoy the journey. With that being said, enjoy the montage of the rest of this build, and I'll see you just now. Yeah, how cool is that? As you can see, it's very easy to build Gunpla. All you need to get started is a set of nipper, such as this Bandai's entry nippers. Okay, then we also used other tools such as the tweezer, toothpick and a knife, just in case you need to pry parts open. But other than that, you don't really need much tools. So before you click off the video, I just want to give a few more tips. So remember earlier in the video, I mentioned not to throw away these plastic bags? Well, you can reuse them. You can use one of the bags to hold your manual, stickers and decals. With this HG Gundam Origin version, there's actually a lot of leftover sticker decals that you can use for other future kits if you want to. Another use for the plastic bag is that you can store all the weapons, extra pieces and even the model kit itself in it. So here's another tip regarding leftover runners. So keep them around because actually you can make uses out of them. For example, you can build your own custom bases or use the tags as plug plates for customization. Yeah, I'll show you in future videos. Even with the sprinkles of little nubs, I like to keep them in a jar. There isn't much use for them, but it's kind of an inside joke from my Canadian YouTube friend Millennial Model Mayhem, he likes to call them forbidden sprinkles. It's kind of like a running meme on his channel. So yeah, I'll link his channel in the description below. Thank you for watching this video. This is the first tutorial video in a series that I'll be creating with my HG RX-7802 Gundam Origin version. Let me know in the comments if you found value or if you've learned some tips and tricks. And if you have some tips of your own, please share them. In the upcoming videos, I'll show you how you can make your Gunpla look even better with some just simple methods and tools, such as using Gundam markers to enhance the details on the panel lines, some advanced yet easy to apply tricks that you can do to HG kits, and even going over the prep work that you need to do in order to go into a good paint job, such as removing nub marks, seam lines, and mold lines. So subscribe and bell to be updated on our next video. Until next time guys, keep building joy. So nice, so nice. Can't wait to paint you. Go. Oh.